we're going to do 3 questions using algebra and measurement. So, first of all, write an equation for x in terms of the perimeter P. So, we know some things. We know x needs to be in the equation and P needs to be in the equation. We know x is a side length and P is the perimeter. And that suggests that we should perhaps write the perimeter question, because the perimeter equation, because that will involve x. So the perimeter of something is just the sum of all the sides. So in this case, it will be 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus x. And just simplifying that, we get, well, 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 5 is 10, plus x. Okay, now, is this what the question is asking? Not quite, because this says write an equation for x. That means x needs to be on its own on the left-hand side. We need to write x equals, and on the right-hand side is something to do with p, because it says in terms of the perimeter p. What that means is that's p's on the right-hand side somewhere. All right, so that's not what we've got. We need to rearrange this equation and get x on its own first of all. So let's get rid of this 10, and we can do that because it's added on, we could subtract it. So we need to subtract 10 from both sides. And we subtract 10 from this side, that gets rid of it. And now we're a lot closer. Let's just write x on the left-hand side so it's clearer. X equals p minus 10. So now we have an equation for x in terms of p. And we can do part B very easily now. Find x when the perimeter is 15 meters. So when the perimeter is 15, p equals 15. And x equals 10. X equals 5. And this is all in meters, so x equals 5 meters. Alright, if you haven't watched the Pythagoras video, you need to watch that first. But in this one, the only difference between this and the examples in that video is we're going to be rearranging the equation a little bit. So here's the equation that we used to find, we used it to find out what C was. But in this one, we already know what C is. We don't know what A is. So when we're substituting numbers in, we're going to find that we can substitute something for C. C is 10 centimeters. We don't know what A is, but we can substitute something for B. B is 5. Okay, so now we have to find out what A is. What we're using algebra for is just rearranging the equation. So before we rearrange it, 10 squared is 100 and 5 squared is 25. So let's just write that down. And now, because we want to find out what A is, we need to get rid of this 25. So we can subtract 25 from this side. And that means we have to subtract it from this side as well. So taking away 25 from both sides, let's say we take it away from this side, we get 75. And if we take it away from this side, it just disappears. All right, now we've got a very similar situation to what we had in the last video. You just have to take the square root of both sides to get rid of the squared. And so that means we've got A equals the square root of 75. And you can use a calculator to work that out, exactly what that is. I won't do that for now. All right, write an equation for the area of the triangle below in terms of y. Okay, so again, we have 2 things. We've got y. Now, it's not telling us what the area is. Let's just call it A. So let's just say A. We'll write down the area equation and see if that's all we need to do. The area of a triangle, if you haven't watched the area video, then you'll have to watch that. It's a half times the base times the height of the triangle. So that's a half times the base is y. The height is 12. All right, and we can just make this a little bit simpler by multiplying a half and 12. Half of 12 or half times 12 is 6. So I've got 6 times y, which is 6y. Now, have we got an equation for the area in terms of y? For the area means the area is on the left-hand side, so that's good. In terms of y means y is on the right-hand side somewhere with everything else. So that's fantastic. We've got the right answer for part A. Write an equation and solve it to find y if the area is 60 meters squared. All right, so here's our equation actually, but do we know what it's not quite the right equation, is it? I can substitute the area in. Let's just do that first of all. So 60 equals 6 times y, but really we need to divide both sides by 6 to get rid of the 6. So we can find out what y is. Okay, so these two will cancel out, and I hope you don't mind if I write y straight away on the left-hand side. 60 divided by 6 is 10. So y is 10 meters.